to another episode. We are in the year four, fourth season, 27th episode in the month of July. We are focusing on the ministry of education. And we know that education is the key, right? So we need an education in order to advance as a people. And we have some powerful educators of our young people lined up to share with us today the science of business as it relates to education. But what we want to make sure that we mention to you each and every week, what we stand for is the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, and the purpose of our so we are intending to bring to each and every one of us, including ourselves, the science of business from those who are actually practicing business, and they are experiencing success as well as failures, and they are learning from those experiences so we can avoid the pitfalls and benefit from the wisdom of their success. So what we would like to do is bring up our co-host, Brother Jahi, Mr. Communicator Muhammad. He is our very own logo file, as Sister Sandy refers to him as. We had to come up with that term because he just always coming with these words, that we have to end up taking notes and looking them up. And we know that he is an avid reader. He's constantly sending out articles. So any of us who have any kind of relationship with him, if you tell him that you are interested in the bees, you best believe he's going to send you information about the bees, right? So I know that I'm interested in childhood education, storybooks, illustrations, things of that nature, business, careers. So I'm constantly getting articles and information and updates and current trends in those areas. So Brother Jahi, Mr. Communicator Muhammad, he is the CEO and founder of Falal Worldwide Seminars and Training and Proper Propaganda Promotions. And he brings to the Ministry of Trade and Commerce on Mind and Money Matters live show, representing Master the Science of Business Entities Incorporated. He brings to us the Falal Worldwide Word on the Block. Brother Jahi.
Assalamu alaikum, business scientists. Welcome back to another episode of Mind and Money Matters live show. What's the sound? Is my sound coming through okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, praise is due to Allah. We thank you all for tuning in to the definitive podcast for Black business bodaciousness. We need you to do a couple of things for us, if you don't mind. Listen to this podcast, like it if you like it, comment, share, and subscribe. We want to hit that 1,000 mark by September the 13th. We want to hit that 1,000 subscribers mark by September the 13th. I know for a lot of you that are watching that are social media influencers to the nth degree, 1,000 don't mean nothing to you. But for us, that would mean a lot. I know some of you have that many, more 10 times that many. That's perfectly fine. This is a new forum for us, and we will definitely appreciate your support. If you have uh, suggestions for future shows, we feature all of the 9 ministries that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan advanced to us in 2005. We feature all of the 9 ministries. So whatever endeavor you are a part of and you would like to be featured on Mind and Money Matters live show, please email us at mindmoneyshow, MINDMONEY show at gmail.com. The month of August is the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the month of September is the Ministry of Health and Human Services, and the month of October is the Ministry of Justice. So you're in any one of those for the next few months, please let us know and you would like to be featured. We would definitely love to showcase your brilliance and your bodaciousness on Mind and Money Matters live show. The final call, please go to finalcalldigital.com. Subscribe so that you can get your Final Call issue every week via your electronic device, be it your computer, your cell phone, your tablet, your whatever device that you are using, electronic device. You can get your Final Call, your latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. There it is, the award-winning Final Call newspaper, as well as your physical copy. You can see any of the number of FOI and MGT under the divine leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can see us in every endeavor, wherever you are, we are there. So just ask to get your paper if you don't have your latest copy. We also have a couple of locations around the city where you can go to and get your copy of the Final Call. If you're in the West End area, of course, we're all over the West End. Any block on the West End, you can go and get your copy of the Final Call newspaper. You can see Brother Kevin Muhammad, the mayor of the West End, right there at the West End fruit stand every day. He has your copy of the Final Call newspaper. If you're also near there at Cafe Ulu on Sylvan Road, 2036 Sylvan Road, Atlanta, Georgia, Cafe Ulu. Then you have Brother Rashad Sharif at the barbershop on Camilton Road. You have Brother Iquan Muhammad at Bonds Salon on Cascade. If you're south near the Riverdale area at the intersection of 138 and Georgia 85, the Clayton County Study Group is there every day. Some members of the Clayton County Study Group is there every day from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. with your latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. And if you're on the east side, stop by the Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore and see Baba Kazim Day and get your copy of the latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. And also, in addition to supporting the Final Call, which is a totally independent, Black-owned news organ that's distributed all over the world. Distributed all over the world. It is totally independent, so we don't have to worry about upsetting sponsors by printing the unadulterated truth in the Final Call newspaper. So you definitely, if you want to stay abreast of what's going on in the world, you definitely want to get your issue of the Final Call newspaper. Also, economicblueprint.org. Economicblueprint.org. Go ahead and go to that right now. Even while I'm talking, you can go to it, economicblueprint.org, and make your 5 cents a day contribution for your and your family's liberation. 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, $18.20 a year. From 16 million of us, that would give us $291,200,000 a year in the coffers so that we can buy land, and other resources that's needed for a viable and sustainable nation. Economicblueprint.org. I want to give a congratulatory announcement and shout out to Emmerich Peace, Jason Fenwick, and oh my God, please forgive me, I forgot their partner's name, but the three, I attended a ribbon cutting ceremony in Largo, Maryland last Thursday evening. Absolutely phenomenal event. And this is even more phenomenal because we talk business on this podcast. So the three owners of Keller Williams Preferred Property, which is a black-owned real estate brokerage firm in Prince George's County, Maryland, but it happens to be the largest real estate brokerage firm in Prince George's County, Maryland. They just bought the block. Literally, the building that they're in covers a half a city block, and they just bought the block. So, congratulations to that dynamic management team, ownership team. They are partnership, a dynamic partnership team, as well as the close to 600 agents that they have, and the 20 staff members that they have that's a part of that dynamic organization. They've been in business for 15 years now, and they're doing it. They're doing big business in the DC area. So shout out again to Keller Williams Preferred Properties Group in Largo, where they're based in Largo, Maryland, but they cover, of course, the entire metropolitan DC area. And also market calendars for July the 27th. July the 27th. You have children or you know some people with some children, come out to the Georgia International Convention Center between 10 o'clock a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m. That's Saturday, July 27th. It is the 14th anniversary of the Hosea Health Back to School Jamboree. The 14th anniversary of Hosea Health Back to School Jamboree, Saturday, July the 27th at the Georgia International Convention Center. That's the big building near the airport. We will service over 3,500 students that day with backpacks, haircuts, beauty services, fresh vegetables, entertainment, and I do believe our very own Master of Science of Business's very own Sister Sharien Muhammad will be presenting at this auspicious event as well. She'll be doing a couple of poems and reading from her books. I Am the Seed of Greatness and Little Sweet Khadijah as well. She may be doing some other activities, so you definitely want to. Oh, all the services are free. Doesn't cost you anything. Probably some gas money to get out there, a bus fare to get there, but you want to drive because we give so much stuff away that it'll be kind of cumbersome to put all that stuff on the bus going back to where you are. So if you can, get a ride. If you don't have a ride, get a ride. And it's open for everyone, even including educators, teachers, administrators. You need supplies as well. We will be giving away supplies to over 500 teachers and administrators, educators as well. So please come through. For more information, go to 4 Hosea. That's the number 4, HOSEA. The number 4, HOSEA.org. The number 4, HOSEA.org. So that's it for me, Falah Worldwide Word on the Block. And it is my honor and pleasure to always introduce my co-host, because she is, as I always jokingly say, but with great admiration, one of the hardest working, most productive people that I know. And that is the circle that we have built around us here at Master Science of Business Entities LLC, which is the owner and producer of the show that you're watching, Mind and Money Matters live show. This is one of the properties that we have in addition to our strategic planning and our individual business consultation of these few of the things. And so included with all of that, she still finds time in her tremendously busy schedule to make sure that we're on point with everything that goes on with my Master the Science of Business Entities LLC, from Your Life Center and Soul Wisdom International. Soul and Universe Soul Circus was in PG County while I was there at the National Harbor. So I didn't get a chance to go by there, but of course I thought about Soul Wisdom International. Sister Sandy Beauford Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum.
Praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jahi. Thank you so much. It brings a smile to my face. Every time you introduce me, it's like, how many times have we done this? It is an honor to be here. Oh, just one last thing, Brother Jahi. I can't see your face real clear. You want the listening audience to see that bright, shining FOI face of yours, too, while we're on
I
the air.
don't know what's
Yeah.
going on with my camera.
I don't know. You look like a haze, like you might be in another dimension or something here while you with us. I don't know what that is. You in two dimensions, Brother Jahi. You don't figure out something we don't know nothing about. I am your sister Sandy Beauford Muhammad with Soul Wisdom International and Master the Science of Business. Today, the entity is all about My Money Matters. Oh my God, it is so much that's going on. Listen, okay, so the first thing that I'd like to share with you is about the women's retreat that I am so excited that Soul Wisdom International is sponsoring next year. If you go to my Facebook page, Soul Wisdom INTL, you'll see a video link. We'll be uploading videos every single day this week sharing insights on that particular retreat. We only have 39 spaces available. I just did the e-bite. It's a personal invitation only at this point. We may open it up to the public. I'm not quite sure, but right now it's an invite only. If you are or you know someone who's a woman that would love to come to a phenomenal women's retreat for next year, you want to get more information about it, please do a text to me. And when you text, the only thing I need you to do is just say, I'm in. You got that? I'm in. And you would text that to 770-906-6193. You don't need to call right now. Just text me to let me know that you're interested or you know someone who's interested, and then I can send you a personal invite. So that's how it's going now. And you're only getting this on My Money Matters show first. This is the first time that we are unveiling it aside from the live video today that we just did. When you're hearing this, make sure you text I'm in 770-906-6193 to get more information. Also, if Sister Sharien is able to, while I'm talking about this and while I'm on, she can show you some beautiful pictures of the location that we're going to be in. There's a YouTube video that you'll be able, it's probably maybe about 3 minute video showing you where the location is. It is simply gorgeous. Oh, I am like over the moon with this. I am just so excited. So make sure you text I'm in to that number that I just mentioned. Well, from Sandy's Corner today, Brother Jahi got word on the block. There we go. From Sandy's Corner today, I wanted to share something with you. So the name of this show, we don't talk a lot about the name of the show. The name of the show is Mind and Money Matters Live Show. Why did we name it that? What is it about that? So I want to give you, there are the pictures. This is where there's a reflection pool there, as you can see. It's a beautiful pool. Make sure that you send I'm in to 770-906-6193. And I can give you more information about that. Thank you so much, Sister Sharien. So why do we name this radio show Mind and Money Matters Live Show? Well, specifically because what does mind mean? Let's link it up all together. And why would we be talking about the mind and money? Why would we do that? So the mind, it is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel. That's the faculty of the consciousness of thought. That's where thought is held on a physical plane. Thought is held here in the mind. So that's the first word. Money. Why talk about money? It's not because we all need it. How about we all have it? We just have not realized how to put a monetary value to that thing that we do naturally. We have not learned how to value ourselves and put a monetary value on the thing, the technique, the ability that we have. We have not been able to monetize. Why is that? As Black people, everybody else monetize what we do. They'll see us doing it and then they'll take it and run with it. My motto to you is, from today, Whatever thought that you have, whatever business idea you have, do not sit on it. Even if you just begin to plan with it. Don't talk about it. Begin to plan. Plan that thing that will generate revenue for you. We are all wealthy. Money is just sitting. We just need to realize how to monetize our efforts and make it realized in our lives. So that's another thing. Money, it's a current. That means energy. Y'all know I'm always talking about energy, right? It's a current. That thing that travels through electricity from one wire to another wire. If there's no conduit, if there's nothing that can harness the energy, it's just free flowing energy all around us. So money is a current medium of exchange in the forms of coins, banknotes, dinero, that green stuff that ain't worth the paper that is printed on, but we do value it still. So it's assets, it's property, it's resources owned by someone or something, it's wealth. That's what money is. So money is not something only that you can hold in your hand, it's also something that's tangible, that can be shown as real estate, property. And remember, a thing is only worth what somebody else will pay for it. Remember that. It's only worth what someone will pay for it. If you see the value in it and you get everybody else to see the value in it, guess what? It becomes valuable. The last thing I want to share with you is, what does matters mean? What does the word matter mean? That's a physical substance in general, that tangible thing. That's one thing, as distinguished from mind and spirit. So we talked about mind at the beginning, and we're ending with matter at the end. And then we got some money, some current in the middle. Can you get with that? You understand what we're talking about here on Mind Money Matters radio show. In physics, it occupies space and it possesses and rests in a mass, something physical. So we take that thing that's not physical, mind, which is thought, and we combine it with currency, and we say matter to create matter. So we take you on this program, we talk about how to generate the thought, what Sister Sharien does in her third eye mind mapping, how to take a thought and bring it to reality. That's what Mind Money Matters radio show is about. And the last thing I'm going to share, I'm doing a brother Jahi note on this one, because he say I'm occupying this space and I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. I'm almost done. The last part is, do you know psychologists study how the mind and our relationship to money work? There are many studies that are out there. And one of the things that they said, which is common, no matter how much money you have, talking about money is a provocative and a sensitive conversation, whether you have a whole lot or whether you have a little. So I would encourage us, talk to our children, talk to our young adult about money. Let them become very familiar with the conversations around money. Don't wait so long until they get older and then you want to teach them the values or the purposes for money. Teach them right here, right now. So as they get older, it becomes a subject, an easy subject to talk about. We have to talk about it in our families, starting at the dinner table. What is our family's financial condition right now? Our children need to know it, because guess what? They can see it. When they look around the home, either we have or we don't have, talk about that conversation. You might be surprised on how many ideas they can present to you or even suggest to you that could increase the wealth right in your home. All right. So that's all it for me, your sister Sandy Beauford Muhammad. Thank you all so much for joining. Now I'm getting ready to bring our sister, the maestro, the mastermind behind all of the beautifulness. Let me tell y'all something. It does not matter what we give Sister Sharien. We say, Sister Sharien, we want to have a big smiling face with a gazebo in the middle, and a Sister Sharien will take it. Sister Sharien will take it and she will make it happen. Oh my God, I got Make It Happen Jahi, Mr. Communicator Muhammad on one side, and Sister Sharien Muhammad on the other side. Make it happen. She's an author, as Brother Jahi mentioned. She will be at Hosea Helps the end of later on in this month, reading her poems for our children. She loves our children. She works with our young adults in high school now. You know she gotta love them, because she deal with them in all age groups. We appreciate her, and I am going to, I believe, bring her up in just a second. Sister Sharien, you there? You ready to come on? Do I need to keep on talking?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Y'all got me working back here.
I know it. I know it. I'm telling you. You see the beautiful background? She designed that too. I'm going to send another shout out. If you need her, which I know you do, to help you with your advertisement, she has helped a number of people with their advertisement. She has a cost. It's not free. It's not free, but it's probably better than what you would have ever had to pay anybody for advertisement purposes. We love her. We bring her on as the author, the mother, the counselor, the Mind Money Matters radio show, mind of the business, Sister Sharien Muhammad.
Praise be to Allah. I don't know, y'all. You know, these introductions is getting really big. But anyways, I thank you very, very much for the powerful introduction that you have just given me. And I'm just so excited to get into the show. I am the author of Why I Wear My Headpiece, Little Sweet Khadija, and I'm the Seed of Greatness. And I'm looking forward to producing many, many more. I'm working on several projects, and it's absolutely exciting to have the opportunity to just live out a dream. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you. But I am excited about this show. This show, we have each and every week a pre-show, which is to just make sure we have all the kinks ironed out, things like that. And we take care of that prior to the show, which is the day before. And during that show, it's as if we're having the show. And I'm always concerned, like, are we going to cover all of this, on the show? We do record those sessions. So, perhaps we'll cut some clips from them and share some of the dynamite information that is shared in the pre-shows. But anyways, we are going to jump right in to bringing in our first guest. Brother Jahi, would you like to do the honors? Is he there? Okay, so I don't see him. Let's see. Let me see if he's
Sister Samiyyah.
Okay. Oh, right. I totally forgot. How can I forget Sister Samiyyah? She's sitting there looking at me. Thanks, see, Brother Jahi. That's why I need you. All right. So Sister Samiyyah, she is, of course, a member of the Nation of Islam. She is the directress of Muhammad University of Islam in Atlanta. She has been in the nation. I forgot how many years at this point. I'm going off the top of my head, but it's over 4 decades that she's been in the Nation of Islam. Is that correct, Sister Samiyyah?
Exactly.
Say that again.
48.
48. Ooh, see, I said, wow, look at that. She's approaching 5 decades, y'all. She is in the history books of Morehouse College of having the most sons to graduate Morehouse College, and that would be 6. She has, she and her husband, well, she is now widowed, but she and her husband both put her 6 sons through Morehouse and one of her daughters through Spelman, and they have all graduated. So she holds that record, and we are very honored to have her here to be our special guest co-host. She and I worked on a project together many years ago, about 20 plus years. And it's called, huh?
I said, it's been that long.
Yes. The National Agenda. Is it the National Agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So we worked on that project together in New York City. And was that an awesome task to work on that project, authored by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and with the assistance of many of us who were typing away and cutting and pasting and redoing and losing documents and having to get it all. I mean, we didn't have cloud back then.
No.
We had a computer, but we didn't have cloud. So if the computer crashed, you lost everything. And when you're working on a manuscript of that size, sometimes just the size of the manuscript will cause a computer to crash.
Right.
And so we experienced that several times over. and working on this project. It just came to my mind. I remembered that we had done that together. And that's a beautiful opportunity for me to learn from someone like her. So welcome to Mind and Money Matters live show. The directors of Muhammad University of Islam, Atlanta, and the point of contact for the Ministry of Education, Sister Samiyyah Saffir Muhammad.
Alaikum. Yes.
Wa alaikum salam. So what is new on the horizon? I know school is about to start up.
Yes. Well, I want to just mention something very quickly. We had the opportunity this weekend to go to a cookout that was sponsored by Muslims Came South. So it was the former students of the Muhammad University of Mosque number 7 from over 40 years ago got together, and they get together periodically. And when one of the people commented on the experience, my reply was, it was so wonderful to acknowledge the fact that the experience coming out of that school and their faith allowed them to maintain this brotherhood and sisterhood over this long period of time, almost 40 years, almost 50 years actually. So I just wanted to say I thank everybody that showed up, and it was just a wonderful testimony to what the type of education that we need for our children can do for them, because they become lifelong friends and are able to enjoy their community link, even if they're miles away and years away. So I just wanted to say that. But on the horizon, we're busy working on the Ministry of Education. Hopefully, we're going to help to support Minister Ava when she comes in to do her workshop on the 26th and the 27th of July, dealing with the question of separation. So the Ministry of Education will be involved in that. And we would like people to come on and join. You don't have to be in the nation to be a part of our ministry, but we have to understand that this is not a committee. This is actually the type of entity that governments have to run that particular part of their government. So that's what's going on with the Ministry of Education. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to read that mission of the Ministry of Education. So the mission of the Ministry of Education is to be responsible for the mental and moral development of the members of the Nation of Islam by means of formal instruction in a system of learning ranging from primary to advanced degrees under the direction of a National Board of Education. The educational system is known as the University of Islam and includes teachers, instructors, and staff who shall teach and train students in the way of righteousness, decency, self-respect, with the goal of making a better nation of people. So I just wanted to read that because that's our base that we're coming from. I'm very excited. I read the bio. I read about the 2 guests that are coming up, and I'm really excited about this Friends of Cherry Grove Schoolhouse. And I think it's so important that we talk about that, and I'm excited about that, and the sister that's coming up about the homeschooling, because a lot of people try it, and hopefully she can give some hints as to how to go ahead and be successful in it, because it's not an easy task to really do homeschooling right. Okay. I'm finished.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Sister Samiyyah. We are so looking forward to supporting you and your efforts with Muhammad Mosque number 15 MUI here in Atlanta. So make sure that you all happen to have a fund me page or anything up like that we can make contributions to?
We have a Cash App page. Cash App. We have a Facebook page, and you can do your Cash App at MUI Atlanta. $MUI Atlanta, and we will get whatever donations you do. Just say what you're donating it for, and we'll make sure you get some kind of receipt. And thank you. Also, if you're interested, you have some extra cash around, and because some of our elders have money stashed. If you would like to sponsor a student, we can help you do that. You may want to pay tuition. You may want to buy supplies. We always need paper and ink and things like that. So that would be a way also to support our students. And if you have skills, you can teach music or something like that. Get in touch with me, and we can go ahead and do that. So our phone number is 334-5426. That's 405 area code. And we're currently located in Campbellton Road, 3642 Campbellton Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. And we look forward to anybody who'd like to come and be a part of. You have students. We currently have a waiting list, but we'll sign you up, and we'll see who can get in. We're very inexpensive when you look at us compared to other private schools as well as just daycare. We're not as expensive as those entities. So come on and join the family of MEY, because that's what we become. Just like I said, the believers who have been out of school for 50 years, but they're still connected through that experience that they had at the school and at the mosque. So.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. And the last thing I got to ask you, Sister Samiyyah, are there any tutoring opportunities with you or your teachers?
Yes. You can contact me at my number, 404-713-7573. I believe wholeheartedly that a lot of the problems that our students have when they need to be tutored goes back to reading. So I'm going to read this right quick since you asked questions. So the Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan says, when you read right words with the right heart, seeking understanding of what you read, the spiritual energy that comes from that reading electrifies the cells and energizes the human spirit. So a lot of our students have never, okay, I'll put it this way. They can decode, in other words, they can sound out words, but their understanding gets jammed up because there are little, very small things that they were never taught about reading. And I tend to untangle that and then sometimes take them all the way back to the beginning of reading, and I go and find out, well, where did you get stuck? And we unstick them and we help them to get over whatever the problem is, and they usually end up being excellent readers after that. So anybody who has students who need to really who are having problems, that's usually part of it. And then the other part of it is most of our young people nowadays want an instant solution to everything. So they figure if they can't push the button, they can't get it right on the first time, they throw up their hands. I'm like, no. Did I just not teach you a methodology? Yes. Okay, how many steps were in that method? 6. How many did you do? I did 3, but then go back and do all 6 steps and then come back and tell me whether or not you got the right answer. So usually come back and go, I got the right answer. I said, see, you can't skip steps. There's a reason that steps in there. There's a reason, so it's a thing that we have to do with our students is to teach them to really be patient with themselves, and they're not going to get it right away. You have to put the effort into whatever it is you're trying to learn. Adults also.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sister Samiyyah. I'm going to bring up our co-host, Brother Jahi Muhammad, to move us further along in the program.
Salaam Alaikum. You all want to, those of you who are watching, we thank you for the number of people that are watching. Please make sure you share this information and go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Help us hit that 1,000 subscriptions by September the 13th. And I had a senior moment at the beginning of the show, and I forgot the third partner in the Keller Williams preferred property. So the 3 dynamic business people that I want to give kudos to is Jason Fenwick, Emmerich Peace, and Patricia Long. of Keller Williams Preferred Property. Absolutely phenomenal job that they're doing by providing um, business opportunities to over 600 associates in the Prince George's County DMV area. So I forgot Patricia's name. Please forgive me, Patricia. She's going to be a guest in the future on the show. Jason Fenwick is a frequent guest on Mind and Money Matters live show. Awesome businessman. So, Ministry of Education. And when we were designing this particular month, I had to reach out to my sister because she is the epitome of energy and also passion when it comes to educating our youth. Um, Queen Taese is a black homeschool and education visionary who has been noted for her works of being an award winning educator and successful homeschool mother for 20 plus years. She has taught and learned from thousands of children as well as designed African centered curriculums, critical educational tools, resources, children's events, and conferences globally. To name a few, some of these entities are Roots to Fruits, Homeschool and Cultural Collective, the Children's African Ball, the Children of the Sun Fun Fest, the Watoto Kwanzaa Jamboree, and her signature gathering, which is coming up in 4 days, the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo. In addition, Queen Thais is the editor and
Mm-mm. You lost you.
the Liberated Minds Homeschool and Education magazine, which is the first of its kind. She has a plethora of accolades and community service awards behind her name. I want you to go to Queen Taese, Queen Taese, queentaese.com, so you can see. Oh, her website is off the chain. I love the website. But please welcome for the very first time and hopefully not the last to Mind and Money Matters live show, the queen of the homeschooling network, Queen Taese. Assalamu alaikum.
Brother Jahi, I have to say walaikum salam on her behalf because I'm sure she is actually speaking at this very moment. However, our maestro of the boards has not given me control to pull her in.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, little technical glitch.
yes. So in saying all of that, I see her. I
Right, right.
see
She's
her
there.
in. Sister Sharien just got to relinquish control of the board so that I can bring her in. I sincerely apologize for that.
All right. So, Queen Thais will be celebrating the 8th anniversary of the Liberated Minds Homeschool and Education Expo this weekend. It starts Friday, July the 19th, and goes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. As I said, please go to queentaise.com so you can get more information and secure your tickets for this auspicious event where she will be the keynote, which is absolutely fantastic. And are you able to get a hold of Sister Sharien?
Mm-mm.
Sister Sandy, are you there? Okay,
Okay.
everyone has me on mute. So as we work out this little technical glitch, Sister Samiyyah, we talked
Yeah.
about the Ministry of Education, and one of the aspects of the Ministry of Education, well, maybe not an aspect of Ministry of Education, but something else that you are involved in is the aviation in the nation.
Yes. Yes. So that came about because we were at the one of the national trainings. One just ended this weekend, and various people were getting up and talking about how they assist the Honorable Minister Farrakhan in his work. So there was a brother, one of the brother handles the dogs, and he talked about that. And then these two brothers got up and they started talking about the fact that they help with the minister's travels in terms of checking out airplanes and things like that. So I got up after they finished, and I didn't know the two of them worked together. Brother Donald, brother who calls, he said he refers to himself as a brother named Donald, and brother Jamal. So when I got to talk to brother Donald, I didn't know he and brother Jamal even knew each other. I don't know what made me think they didn't. But anyway, I asked him, I said, would you come to Atlanta and talk to my students? So he said, sure. I'm like, okay, so how much is it going to cost? He said, a chicken dinner. I'm like, he said, a chicken dinner. I said, you're going to come all the way to Atlanta? He said, well, I fly free. I'm a pilot. So anyway.
I can get there.
And then I saw brother Jamal, and I got his number. And then coming from the other side of the room, two young women who I did not know, Sister Kai and, oh my God, she's going to kill me. Her name just went out of my head. But anyway, the two of them also approached them, but they called them within a month, and they asked could they come to Detroit, and then they started what became Aviation in the Nation. So we've traveled to several cities, and what we do is we take students and we set up whatever room that we're having the event in as an airport. So they come through the gate, we give them a boarding pass, and then we have our flight attendants.
Oh, wow.
Their arrival and telling them to fasten their seatbelts and all of that. So we really make it a real aviation kind of situation. And then in a couple of the places we've had the children, you put on the uniforms of the flight attendants and or the pilot.
Oh, wow.
Part of the activity is they actually do flight simulation. They're taught about how to fly a plane. Oh, it says this is joint. So anyway, that's aviation. We can come to a city near you. So
all right, sounds fun.
Salaam Alaikum, Sister Taese, Queen Taese is in.
There she is. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How you feeling?
Doing fine by Allah's grace. How are you feeling? I know when we spoke yesterday.
I'm half asleep, but I'm here.
and in addition to the number of children that you're going to be preparing for, as well as the adults for your dynamic expo and conference this weekend, you are expecting a grandchild.
I am. Probably tonight or tomorrow.
Wow.
I'm super excited. And
I'm just still tripping that you're expecting a grandchild. That's
it's just another stage and phase of life, and I feel like it's intensifying the meaning and purpose,
Oh, wonderful.
So
all praise is due to Allah. We pray that do you know what your daughter is having?
She's having a girl.
A girl. Okay. We pray for the safe arrival of the little queen.
Thank you.
Queen 3. All right. So, Queen Taese, this is your 8th year of producing this event, but you have 20 plus years in the homeschool arena.
Yeah.
How did both of those come about?
Well, homeschooling, that was something, honestly, I just stumbled upon just in my dedication to not allow my children to touch the public school system.
Okay.
And so initially, I really didn't know anything about homeschooling. I didn't even realize it existed for just common people. I thought it was just for people who were traveling and always on the road and more in the music business and that type of thing. So it never had been introduced to me at all as an option. And so the first year with my first son, he went to school to Cush campus in Brooklyn, which was also a cultural school, and just an amazing experience for him for that first year. But after that, when my daughter came right on his heels, and I had my own school also that was growing, my own homeschool in New York at the time, it just didn't seem feasible to pay what it would have cost bringing them to the Bronx. They were at the Learning Tree. They had transferred to the Learning Tree in the Bronx, New York. And just the fees were astronomical. So, we had decided that, I should say I had decided, it wasn't necessarily a mutual agreement at first.
Oh, really?
It's a matter of, the vision that I had for family, and, I always look at, families having a mission statement of what they want to see and what they want to accomplish as a unit. And so with that being said, one of the main things was the quality of education, and then also looking at, what education meant to us and the importance of, character development, not just the academic piece, but the passing on of traditions, the morals, the values, and the foundation of family being first and foremost. And then everything else after that, it builds upon that platform. So, being the public school system and what I was seeing and what I had worked in it for quite some time in different capacities, I knew for a fact it would not provide adequate, an adequate education in terms of my definition. So I began to look for resources, and then I came across this thing, homeschooling, and I realized that the majority was white Christian women that were doing it at the time. They had a lot of questions and a lot of information, but I didn't see not one face that was ours until later on, maybe about 2 years in. First 2 years, we just kind of, just being committed. I just said, I know I can do this. Our relationship with our children is reciprocal. So I feel like when they come here, they're also here to teach us something and to help us grow. So that was my chance to take that opportunity and say, okay, I've decided what we need to do. So let's look for the resources to execute that. So in looking, I came across another homeschool group. It took about 2 years. But in the meantime, trial and error, and just the tenacity to hang in there, to pull different resources, and to begin to create resources myself, as well as a different type of curriculum experience, which was partially self-directed by the children.
Oh, beautiful. When you say that, I think of something, and I remember where we met. Sister Sandy, Queen Taese is an alumni of Chika Akua's Success Quest Speakers Boot Camp.
We were talking about that today. Yes.
I'm telling you, then I know she's on point after going to the workshop. I mean, he gets you pumped up, boy.
Oh man, he goes in.
One of the things that Chika talks about in his boot camp is what led him to becoming an international educational consultant as he is, was he stopped complaining about the resources that was not available and started developing the resources that he saw that was needed in order to give our children an adequate education. And we're taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that the word education comes from edusere or edukari, depending on who says it. Last week we had Dr. Kevin Washington on with us, who is the head of the Department of Sociology and Psychology at Grambling University, and he mentioned that as well, that our jobs as educators, as parents, as grandparents, or whatever role we play in the lives of children is to help them bring out what the Creator has already deposited in them. So I commend you all for the expertise that you have in developing the curriculum, because you study, you've seen the characteristics of different children and what it will take in order to bring that gift, that talent up out of them, and they go on to become gods. That's what we're designed. That's the path that we are on, is to become gods, have force and power. So I commend all of you all that are in the education arena. So at some point you decided not only to have a business in homeschooling, but you dove headfirst into putting on conferences and expos. Now, one that has done this in the past, I always admire those who, and I'm in that arena, but I haven't produced one in a long time, especially of the size that you all are doing, because the energy, the currency, as Sister Sandy talked about earlier, meaning the money, the moolah, the cheddar, the cheese, whatever we want to call it, those things that it takes in order to make those events successful. I understand what it takes. And my thing is, if you're not called to do it, you might as well stay out of the ring because it takes a very tough skin and resilience. And on the call yesterday, Barrett used the word ingenuity that it takes in order to pull it up. So, what in the world made you dive into that arena of putting on expos and conferences?
I guess I just out of need, you know, I love being a vehicle for connecting our people. You know, I feel like we are our greatest resource, and a lot of our issues stem from us not really connecting, like really soulfully connecting. A lot of times we greet each other and we keep it moving, but really having the opportunity to, you know, to build with each other, to plan together, to build trust and long-lasting relationships is really where the village is and the community is. So I realized, you know, I kind of was in a bubble, I think, for a while.
Oh, she dropped out.
Uh-oh.
Well, Brother Jahi, you asked a phenomenal question with reference
Oh,
to
praises due to Allah.
the phase that she's in. I pray Allah that she's able to get back in and really give us some pointers on how to effectively do that. And you know, she said some key words that I definitely want her to share with us, which is the things that we know that have been kept away from us, and specifically is connected to what happened with us during the Middle Passage. And that is, she specifically said, building trust, creating relationships, creating a community around us, a soulful connection. Once we have that, oh my God, that's the key right there. Realizing that we are each connected to one another. And so for her having that specific desire to build trust with us, she ain't said nothing about education. Listen to that. What does that have to do with education? It starts with us as human beings. Building trust. What happened to the trust? Who told you not to trust me, Brother Jahi, Sister Sharien, Sister Samiyyah? Who told you don't trust me? So now we got to build a thing that we don't even know where, you know what I'm saying? Who told us not to do it in the first place? So I am really, really excited. We can't hear you, Sister Sharien. You on mute, beloved. We can't hear you.
No, she's not on mute.
Yeah.
There's
You're
something else
talking.
going on.
Okay, we can't hear you, Sister Sharien.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Praises due to Allah. You know, you talking in the past, who told us, but who is telling us? Queen Taese.
Telling us. Right.
Who
Okay,
is
so
constantly, every day, all day, telling us for centuries that we are not to trust one another. This is, you know, this is only amongst us. I'm like, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you find this anywhere else. Sister Sandy, bring her back in unless you're making me the host.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I apologize, I had to step away for a second. But anyways, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, to know if amongst any other race of people, is there this constant competition between us within the same genre to argue with each other? Like the headline would read, you know, this artist is against this artist. You know, I don't see that anywhere else. I don't see you telling Martha Stewart or Martha Stewart complaining about one of the other individuals who sell
He's back in,
house goods or cooking or anything, like, you know, like it's a constant thing with us that we are constantly put together to be in a bullpen fighting one another over similarities.
Yeah, that's
I don't like the fact that you wear, you know, I wore orange on purpose, Sister Queen. I said, my sister loves orange.
You can tell, right? You know, that's the first thing I said when I saw you. I said, oh,
look at that orange, right? But you know, our enemy would have us fight against each other.
Right.
Because I have on a headpiece that looks like this.
Yes.
If you have on a headpiece that looks like that,
absolutely,
then we should all fight, you know?
Yes.
I don't see that happening in any other race of people.
Right. Right.
No other race of people have 400 years of that constant division.
Go ahead, Sister Samiyyah.
Huh? Yes, ma'am. No, nobody else had that experience of 400 years of somebody pitting one against the other.
Yeah, right.
So I wanted to ask that question of Sister Taese. When we lost you just a few moments ago, you were right in the middle sharing with us about your conferences and why you chose to begin to do these conferences. And you hit on a couple of points. I don't know if you were able to hear the conversation and come back in when we were kind of like recapping, which is where Sister Sharien picked up. But you were hitting some serious stuff that goes deeper than just the educational system. However, it's the root of why everything else has manifested with reference to trust, with reference to building relationships, with reference to community. So I'd like for you to continue to expound upon that for us, please.
Yes. You know, I know for a fact that the power that we have comes from our collectivity, our coming together, and our commonality.
That's right.
Because we all have different things that we do differently. We might eat differently. We might have different level of spirituality, you know, but it's all of those things should bring us to closer to our divine purpose, closer to our preservation of culture, closer to our intergenerational wealth, closer to our holistic living in life.
And language, girl.
All of this has to be, you know, it's a frequency, you know, it has to be passed forward with a foundation of character first, you know, and then
that's right.
The excellence is all built on that. So when we want our children to reach Black excellence first starts with them knowing who they are, having a strong foundation in their spirituality, you know, having respect for their elders, understanding their divine purpose. Because a lot of times we don't even touch on that with our children. We tell them and we direct them everything they're supposed to do, and they have no sense of being able to tap into their inner self. You know, we have all these cell phones. You see children together now, they don't even talk to each other. They just on their phones. So that also is a breakdown of communication, a breakdown of building relationships. And the relationships is really that's where it's at. You know, it's the bonding of family and how we help each other. So I think, you know, what I started to see is a lot of people begin to call me for a lot of consulting work. And I wasn't doing anything of that sort. I was just, you know, I had my homeschool and I had my children were in it. I have 7 children total, and each one, you know, they came through. I have 3 still at home. And just being in that only bubble, I didn't realize that homeschooling was growing the way it was in our community. And as I saw it growing, as I started to, you know, notice, everyone would call with the same thing. It was either resources. We don't have enough, you know, Black resources for our children, whether it's books, curriculum materials. And then I found that a lot of parents were clear about what they did not want, but they weren't clear with what they wanted and then how to attain that. So there needed to be some clarification around definition of success, around definition of what a man is, what a woman is, because that's what we're raising, right? As children, we're raising men and women. So they're cute, they're fun, we love them, they're a lot of work, but there's a higher mission and purpose, right? That's just a transformational space and stage. So being able to educate parents and allow them to go through a detoxification of their own indoctrination within the public.
Whoa. Repeat that again.
What part?
Detoxification of the alliteration by proclamation.
Yes.
Oh, she said the detoxification of their own indoctrination.
Detoxification of their own indoctrination.
Yes,
all right.
Yes. Because we're educating them, you know, because, you know, a lot of people feel like if you homeschool, that's going to be the end all solution. But we also have to homeschool ourselves as parents. We have to unlearn, you know, a lot of the things that we did not learn or that we didn't learn correctly. Otherwise, we do even more damage because we're the actual parents, the bloodline that's passing on the pathology, which is even worse, you know. So we have to break those chains, like you were speaking about earlier, the 400 years of enslavement, and we have to begin to look at what it's going to take over the next 400 years of reverse engineering, right?
That's right.
Though we're reversing it to move forward and to be able to allow our children to have a holistic education. And as we're here talking about economics, you know, teach them to support Black business, but also to build Black business. What are the mechanics of that? And what does that look like? And in addition to that, you're not just building you're not just being an entrepreneur and building a business, you are building an empire, because things that are meant to last generationally were empires, you know, things that were passed on. And I think that's the importance of also bringing relationships and teaching our children about how to have a relationship, because the preservation of the wealth that we build is just as key, because things have been squandered just in one generation.
Come on.
So all of that, when you're talking about entrepreneurship and business building, our children need to begin to understand value, you know, and what that means. And, you know, value is given by the person who's receiving. You know, you can give, anybody can say, well, that shirt is worth $500. If you'll pay for it and I won't, then it's valuable to you, but it's not valuable to me.
Right.
The question becomes, what's valuable to us? What's most important? And that's your curriculum. Anything that you build is, like I tell parents, we all can do it. It just takes a collective support system, because if you're walking the road that's less traveled, then you have to have a support system that supports that. If you're going to those who don't see your philosophy and don't want what you want for advice, that doesn't work, because you'll get nothing but discouragement, which is what a lot of people do. So that's what we are, Liberated Minds. We're that support system, you know, and it feels good to be able to assist other parents and other educators and other elders and homeschoolers and just people in the community who care and know the importance of us taking control of our children's education. That's where everything starts, and that's where everything continues. It starts with our babies.
Now I know that you mentioned that you witnessed the growth in homeschooling.
Yeah,
I had stepped away for a minute. Had to take care of a matter, but I don't know if it was mentioned earlier in the show. And if you are aware that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the one who spearheaded the whole legality of homeschooling.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, he went to jail, he went to prison.
Absolutely.
Right. For fighting for the right to homeschool.
Absolutely.
Right. And they gave, of course, they entitled that imprisonment or put it, the reason for it, him duty
contributing to the delinquency of minors.
Right. That, and also duty dodging, right, for
that was the draft.
Right, for the draft. Are those two separate occasions?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So there was one that was specific solely to the education.
The education was the contributing to the delinquency of minors.
Right, contributing to the delinquency of minors.
Yes.
So he had to fight for the right to homeschool, so to speak, or to educate independently.
Right.
And now, as you mentioned, which we may think is a shocker, right? That you found when you begin to homeschool that the majority of those who were participating in that activity were Caucasian. So Caucasians are actually riding on the backs of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? How phenomenal is that?
You know, we're always the last to know a lot of times, you know, and a lot of stuff that we don't see is hidden right in front of our face. You know, it's just when we are able to really dive into, you know, the science of how things run, how they work, and we really begin to question everything and unravel things, we can see what's been right there all along. And a lot of the things we already know, a lot of things that's given back to us, even holistic health. I'm like, that's just our indigenous way of living. That's how we've always lived. Now they want to coin it and they want to sell it back to us. And now we're ready to buy it, right?
And we're ready to buy it from them. Yes.
We're ready to buy it. And it's the same thing with education. Like holistic education is how we live. We live through a social structure. And so everything was a collective, and we lived through, you know, being able to have what they call now as role models, but it was just family and the collective, and watching how our mother did what they did, how our father did what he did, you know, how the collective worked together, the family collective and dynamics, you know, how we decided upon relationships and courtship and all those different things. It was merely just our way of life and living. And now, you know, they coin it as this and they coin it as that. And they say, oh, you know, the indigo children and all these names. And I'm like, oh, this is how we've always lived. And so study us we can see that our greatness has been there since the beginning of time. So why would it go anywhere? You know?
Well, the thing that they value is the value of recording and, and owning that which they record.
Absolutely.
And we have to also value that. We have to record our own history. We have to write our own history books.
Right.
You know,
yes.
This is the reason why I became a writer.
I love it.
Because we have to educate ourselves and our children, as you say. And the last point I want to make is the point about the cooperative economics pooling resources as we're taught to do. And when you look at these homeschool organizations, as you mentioned, where you saw mostly Caucasian participants engaged in, they are cooperating with one another. I don't have to know every subject under the sun. If I'm in the, this is what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. Many of the instructors were parents of students who had an expertise in a particular area or was willing to qualify themselves to be experts, because we are chosen not for what we know, but for the quality of our hearts. And so if we want to learn a thing, and I may not be a person who knows astrology or who knows physics or whatever, but if I'm willing to learn it and then teach it to the child, then that could be my focus and the subject that I teach. And then every parent takes on a particular subject, and then now we have a school, because somebody's teaching biology, somebody's teaching chemistry, somebody's teaching algebra, and so on. And then we don't limit the student. We let the student grow as fast as they can.
I love it. I love it.
I love it. At Muhammad University of Islam, for 9 years, I know that I was taught according to my ability.
That's right.
I was able to advance into higher grade levels because I was able to, not because it was time to go. It was because I was able to go. And that's how education should be. The way it is, it's not your time yet. You know, like you get a red flag, the student is 14, but they have enough credits to be a 12th grader. What's the problem? Like, be celebrated.
It's true. And you know, it's because we should be teaching by their stage and not by their age. You know, a lot of parents come into the homeschool and they're like, you know, my child is behind or my child is ahead. And I said, well, don't say they're behind, because you're going to give them a complex, you know, a self-esteem complex. Well, I'm not as smart as. Don't say they're ahead, because then they get more arrogant and they feel like I don't have to work as hard. So you just start from where they are, and whatever stage they're at, you just allow them to just soar, just go as far as they can go with no age limit, no restrictions, you know, and whatever stage they're at, whatever age, we have to stop using others' standards and placing that as our standard. Because if we look at since the beginning of time, you know, our ability and capability, not just to learn, but to be creators, to create, you know, what is needed, and to create what we don't have. And to, just like who was saying something about just the ingenuity earlier, right? That we have, our ability to soar goes well above and beyond, especially when we take the holistic aspect. We put our prayer, our meditation, our you know, our yoga. Now we implement that in our homeschool. All of the different things that are going to strengthen our food, what we eat, what we put into our body, but also the food that's around us, our environment, our social structure. Because I don't want, a lot of people say, well, what about homeschooling? You know, the children, they don't have enough socialization. And I said, well, you know, they have plenty of socialization. I just choose who they socialize with. I don't want my children socializing with everyone, because socialization is also learning. It's a huge part of learning. So the habits that they pick up from each other, I want it to be a positive peer pressure. I don't want someone trying to convince my child to do something that's against what we're trying to, you know, what we're trying to instill. So it's important, and people can just start where they are. You can be in a public school and homeschool. That's what I'm trying to get people to overstand. Once you start, it opens up the universe. You know, it opens up the blessings to come forward and to continue to add to your opportunity to grow in that. But you got to start where you are, you know?
Gotcha. So Queen Taese, this weekend with your Liberated Minds Expo, and you have a dynamic lineup. Can you give us some of those that will be some of the activities? What can those that are participating can anticipate? And do you have any more tickets available? And if so, how can one participate?
Yes, well, it is a 3-day weekend. It's July the 19th through the 21st. It's going to be held at Piedmont Technical College Conference Center. That's in Clarkston, Atlanta, or Clarkston, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, I should say. What Friday, we have our meet and greet, which is held at the venue at Redan, where we have an all vegan soul food buffet that we serve for our just complimentary for those coming in off the road. We have so many people coming from across the country, people coming in from Kenya and the UK, just everywhere. Our people just ready, really ready. So we just like to give them that warm welcome. And then on Saturday, we have workshops on everything from, oh gosh, we have one sister coming in from Ohio. Her son is graduating from college and high school at the same time. And she's going to talk about that process and doing that at no cost, at no fee. And then in addition to that, this is for the first time ever, we have a brother that's going to be talking about trauma and how trauma blocks success for our children. We've never had it. And I feel like it's so critical. Like I'm so excited about having it because a lot of times, our children go through a lot, whether it's in the public school system, whether it's in any school, sometimes different variations of schooling. Still, there's certain situations that bring trauma, whether it's bullying, whether it's trauma that the children face at home, in the home environment, whether it's things that have occurred in their lives. And a lot of times we just, as parents, sometimes we push stuff to the side because we feel like if we focus in another area, like them doing well in school, that's going to go away. Or we don't really know how to handle it or how to deal with it. But it creates behavioral issues. It creates low self-esteem. It creates pent-up anger inside, which all lead to that pipeline to prison that we're trying to avoid, right? That we're working towards not even engaging in that at all. So I feel like it's a need, and it's just going to be an awesome workshop where he's talking about first how to identify the trauma and then tools for eliminating the trauma to assist a lot of our families in getting our children on the right path. We also have workshops in how to teach STEM, and everything is done from our worldview. So how to teach STEM, how to teach writing, the mechanics of writing, math, reading. We have it all. We also have the workshops for children, and the children's workshops are just as fulfilling. That's one of my favorites, but it's fulfilling. They learn about herbs. Last year they made their own tea bags, learned about herbs, made their own tea bags that they could bring home. We have science, different science shows. I know Sister Serena, from Science Creations. She's there every year. And just a host of community people who want to be there, educating our children. And we have over 100 Black vendors,
Wow.
us, books,
Wow.
everything you want to see for the Black family. So
Beautiful.
over 3 days, it's just awesome. Sunday, we have our Black Economic Summit. So we're talking about building economics. How do we raise our children to be, like I said, like I love, this is Chica's phrase right here, to raise consciousness and capital.
That's right.
Same time,
at the same time.
Yes,
Right. Somebody need to write a song about that.
I love that. I always give him praise for that because I just love the way, the harmonious aspect of that, and realizing that there's an accountability to our community as well as, trying to build business. So we have Gabby Goodwin that'll be there this year. I'm excited. We have several presenters, but she's one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to meeting. She's a sixth grader with making six figures, off of her invention of, she created the hair bows that don't slide out your, slide out your hair. But she has 75 micro franchisees. So she is really going in, and she's grown. She's been doing this since she was, I think, 7 or 8. She's 12 now. But she went from this little shy baby and really grew into, developing and cultivating her ability to speak publicly and to build confidence and competence. So that is her message that she's bringing.
Fantastic. So how can one purchase a ticket?
Sure, they can go to the
register for their conference.
We have a website. It's www.liberatedminds with a S, MINDS, liberatedmindsexpo.com. That's liberatedmindsexpo.com. If they need more information, they can call 678-368-8593, and we'll be more than happy. We also have, I think we may have a few spaces left for vending. I'm not sure. I'm not over that part, but
did you say 678-368-8593?
Yes, that's it. 85.
All right, fantastic. We look forward to it. But if you can stick around, please do, as we bring up our next guest. I think there could be some cross exchange of information.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for. I know you have a lot going on, but if you can stick around with us, please feel free. We're going to announce your event toward the end of the program as well.
Right. And I want to thank everybody, for everyone's contributions.
Thank you.
I learned so much just listening, and it's a reaffirmation and a confirmation, so I appreciate it.
Praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Our next guest is, my introduction is going to be a little bit unorthodox because he is like a brother from another mother and father. We're not biological, but we have we've run these streets of Atlanta and the country a lot over the last 20 plus years. He is Barrett, and I gave him a middle name. I don't think he had a middle name, but I gave him the middle initial, Barrett G. Hanson, because the G stands for good Lord, that brother can teach. He made history. To those of you who are listening, especially in Georgia or the Atlanta area, and you're familiar with Toastmasters, Barrett made history with Toastmasters 21 years ago. He was the first person to represent Georgia in the World Championship of Public Speaking, represent Georgia in like 40 years at the time, and also the first Black person to go that far within Toastmasters at the World Championship of Public Speaking. Subsequently, I think Georgia may have had 2 or 3 other contestants, or those that competed, that were Black contestants that went on to do that. But Barrett broke the mold. I saw him do a presentation one time. He was doing the occasion at a church, and he fired it up so much that the preacher refused to preach because he didn't want to follow behind Barrett. He lit it up. He lit it up so well. But as I said, a dear friend, he is 1/4 of the Original Man Speaks speaking group that we put together 20 plus years ago, that came up with the presentation, The 9 Malignant Symptoms of Unpropitious Willow. We developed that presentation in his den. Very strong advocate of education. He's a husband. He's a father of 3 beautiful, bright young women, one of whom happens to be my goddaughter. 2 in college, and 1 is a graduate. So he and his wife, Lorraine, are definitely advocates of the educational process. He is one of those rare breeds. I tease him all the time. He is actually from Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta, not around Atlanta, not near Atlanta, but Sandy. He's from Atlanta. He went to Watton High. And those of you who are from Atlanta.
He went to Watton High?
Watton High. He went to Watton High.
You're on mute, Brother Barrett. Unmute your phone so we can hear you.
And Morehouse. He is he's a logistics
we can't
guru.
Hear you.
I said unmute him, Sister Sandy.
All right, let's see.
Barrett is a logistics guru. He's been in the international freight forwarding business for 25 plus years, maybe 30 years now.
You got control, Sister Sharien.
Okay.
Maybe 30 years now, in addition to his plethora of community activities, and one of his latest endeavors, which goes right in line with the our Ministry of Education piece, is saving a historic schoolhouse. So without any further delay, the president, CEO of Bluefin Global, Barrett G. Hanson. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Mind and Money Matters live show.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. How are you?
Doing fine by Allah's grace. Welcome. All these years, brother, where you been? How you now gonna come on the show?
Man, it's time to get the band back together.
It's time to get the band back together. Yes,
I've been sitting here listening to these beautiful sisters. Oh, and by the way, I did get the memo about wearing the orange.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And so listen to these beautiful sisters
I
talk
love
about
it.
yeah, talk about these contemporary issues. They are contemporary, but they are just as relevant 50, almost 100 years ago. You know, you
That's
talk
right.
about writing our history. Well, what we're trying to do is save our history.
That's
We
right.
have a schoolhouse built around 1910. Now, this was built before the Rosenwald Foundation. Many of you may have heard of the Rosenwald Foundation, the president and one of the founders of Sears and Roebuck's. He started a
Oh
foundation.
no, give us some information about that. I saw that in your bio, and you used a big little word too. Extant. What was that word you used?
Extant. That means it's still in existence. It's still in existence.
Oh.
The schoolhouse that we are attempting to save, built in 1910, there are only 15 left in the state of its category. And this one is in Wilkes County. And so the rest of them are no longer extant. That's one of the words they use in preservation, merely means it's no longer in existence. That's it. It's no longer in existence. And so the Rosenwald Foundation started in 1917. And he partnered with Booker T. Washington in 1913 and 1914. But prior to that, on the campuses of churches, you had sharecroppers and landowners and tenant farmers and midwives who put together their time, their talent, and their treasure to create a schoolhouse so that their children would have a place to go to learn the rudiments of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And so what we have endeavored to do, we have been successful to the extent that we have already gotten the schoolhouse on the Georgia list of historic places.
Wow.
We did it in February the 22nd. They were so impressed until they recommended for the National Register of Historic Places. At this point, there's nothing else for us to do. It's just going through the process of going through the process, documentation, and all of that. It has been passed on to Washington, D.C. And according to them, by December, we should be on the National Register of Historic Places. And it will be saved for posterity, for generations to come, so that they can see, okay, we have our Morehouse, we have our Spelman, we have our Howard. How was it for rural African Americans, especially in rural cities like Georgia? How was it for them to get an education? Because the funding wasn't coming from the county. It wasn't coming from the county. You know, it was mentioned about how we don't trust each other today. And that is true. However, back then they trusted each other because they're the only ones they had to put the trust in.
That's
the only ones they had to put the trust in, and the only ones they had to depend on. They were their own resources. And so it was, as they say, necessity is the motherhood of invention. There was no place else to go. No place else to go. And so we have been fortunate enough to get this far. And in saving this institution, someone mentioned we have to go through steps. We started this endeavor in October 31st, 2015. It has been almost 4 years, but it has paid off. And there are steps that you have to go to. There are a lot of us, of course, especially being here in Atlanta, we know of so many historical places that are worthy of saving and perhaps should be saved. But you have to realize it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes organization. And you have to be careful about who you bring into your orbit, into your organization. Very careful, very careful. You know, you have your mission, you have your purpose. You can, because you want everyone to be on the same page. Now, there's nothing wrong with honest deliberation or honest debate, but you don't want someone who's going to come in and try to disrail the whole thing. So you have to be careful. You have to show some motherwit. You have to show discernment and wisdom in terms of choosing who you're going to bring into your organization. But you will need an organization. You will need an organization because one person cannot do it alone. At one time, I just had a vision and a bunch of fervor and energy and enthusiasm, but it took more than that. It takes more than that.
Okay. So, and that's one of the things, and I apologize to you yesterday because in our talking, I did not realize the extent of what it is that you were the catalyst for, the extent by which you and your family and others that you brought on board went through for this particular project. So as you said, organization.
Yes.
You formed a nonprofit organization
Exactly.
to target specifically this building, the Cherry Grove Schoolhouse.
Exactly.
Was there any particular reason why you chose the Cherry Grove? If there's 14 others that exist, why the Cherry Grove?
My family has a history in Wilkes County that I have documented back to the late 1790s. And 1790. The Cherry Grove Baptist Church was founded in 1875. And many of those founders were members of my family. And so growing up, the first Sunday in August would be what they would have homecoming. And so we would get into the car. And at the time, I remember we had a 1965 Galaxy 500 Ford. And we would travel to Wilkes County, Georgia, and go to the first Sunday in August and go to the homecoming that they would have the first Sunday in August. Well, after the services and after having the dinner in the fellowship hall, they would always go outside to the church, especially former members would go outside and they would walk around the church, almost like the Muslims do around the Kaaba in Saudi Arabia, circumambulate around the church, and they would put their hands on it. And my grandmother would always say, "She's still standing. She's still standing." And so she's been going more close to 30 years, and the church is still standing. So my point is, there is an uncut umbilical cord between me and that church, a history for that church. And so for years, someone would always say, when we go out to the church, why don't they do something to save her? Why don't they do something to save her? They would never identify who they were. Well, early in the conversation, you all were talking about being called. This is something that I was called to do. Not that no one else could do it, but I believe that when something is good and something is noble and something is upright and it is impressed on your heart, you are called to do that. Not that you only want to do it, but you are called to do that.
That's right.
So this is something which I truly believe that I have been called to do. Not alone. I didn't know what all it would take, but that wasn't what I was called to do. Start it. And people would come into the orbit. You know how it works. Everybody knows how it works.
Yes, sir.
Those would come to help you facilitate the fulfillment of this idea, and it would be manifested. In the beginning was the word, the idea, the thought.
Come on, teach, preacher. Go ahead, Deacon.
That's it.
Can I interject something?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. You know, just recently, I think it was Mitch McConnell who said, "Oh, nobody who was alive in slavery is alive today." Excuse me, 1910, I found out my father was born. That was 45 years out of slavery.
Right.
That means that my great-grandmother and my grandmother were slaves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
We have to understand, we talked about this last week, understand what happened to us so we can undo it, and preserving that one-room schoolhouse is part of that. Brother, the great attorney, Ultimatic.
Yes, I remember.
Oh, yes.
He said he was so smart because his grandmother was teaching and she had him in there with the 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and he just learned what they learned. So
okay.
So that is the beauty that we have to pass that on to our children and also our contemporaries to understand that education doesn't have to be about a whole bunch of stuff around you.
No.
It has to be about people who love you, who will teach you and give you, like the sister said, that sense of who you are, what you're supposed to be, and the fact that you're preserving this place that a child can go to and go, wow, people actually sat in here to learn. And okay, so let me take stock of all that I have and appreciate it. That's I saw when I looked at the picture.
Yes. Now, in this particular schoolhouse, you had from 24 to 64 students in a 465 square foot building. That's a lot of students. However, be mindful that you may have students from 8 to 15 years old. And so even though you had one teacher teaching with a whole bunch of ingenuity, you had each one teaching one. The older students were teaching the younger students.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see, and because there was no funding coming from the county, that's where the ingenuity comes up. So you want to teach a little about biology. We'd have no biology books. Let's step outside. Let's step outside.
That's
Booker
right.
T. Washington used to say that oftentimes when he go into the classroom, why are you relying so much on theory and the books when you can go outside and teach outside?
That's right.
The same
That's
thing.
right.
The same thing. You know. And
Yeah.
so you may find a child 15 years old in the third grade.
Right.
And so not only being taught by the teacher, but being taught by those who are in a higher grade who may oftentimes are younger than that particular child.
Yes.
Right. That's right. And
especially,
that's part of
especially for the men, for the boys, because as the grades progress, you saw a falling off of the black male because he's needed
Right.
oftentimes back at the farm.
in the food. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Wow,
And
you
that-
know
that's-
what? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sister Samiyyah.
I was saying that's the beauty of understanding that education should never be about, well, we must cover this amount in this amount of time. No, if
Right.
you didn't
Right.
master it, why are we moving on?
Yeah.
Let's go back over this until we get that, we make it our own and can utilize it. Then we can move on. And a lot of parents, unfortunately, are hung up in, well, what score did they get in? Can your child write a letter and be understood? Can your child give a speech and be understood? Can your child read a book and tell you the book? Can they go to the store and get the right change? Can you trust them with it? So these are the skills that I'm sure was taught in that one room schoolhouse. And those people went on to go to college and do whatever they did. I mean, when you look at the true history of like Mary McLeod Bethune and people who just went ahead and did it. So I congratulate you, and I'm thankful that y'all are preserving this, so we will always have these kind of reminders, so we don't get so big headed to think it's all about us.
No. And someone mentioned earlier also that we have it twisted in that we're thinking that education is about what you can pour in. No, real education is what you can draw out.
Right.
What you can draw out of the person.
Yes.
It's been twisted. It's been twisted because obviously they learn a lot more than reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
They learn morality, and they learn the value of
character building.
Exactly. Character building. Say what you mean what you say, being honest, being true. These are some of the things which they learn in that one room schoolhouse, which we've lost.
Yes, sir. So what's your vision, Barrett, for the preservation? You used another polysyllabic term yesterday in addition to preservation of the schoolhouse.
Rehabilitation
and preservation.
Yeah, the difference between rehabilitation and preservation. Preservation is basically restoring the schoolhouse to the 1910 condition, pristine condition. That's fine, but that's not what we want, because we also want it to be self-sustaining. Rehabilitation is limited preservation, whereby you may add heat, you may add air, you may add electricity, so that you can make it a place for meetings, for weddings, a place for students to come doing field trips. And so you have some of the modern amenities in rehabilitation. So we're looking at limited preservation and historical rehabilitation. And we want to make it continuously relevant in today's school system in Wilkes County. So we don't want just a museum. No, we want her to continue to teach. That's why she was built. So she's going to be a tool to continue to teach at this age.
All right.
Wilkes County from Atlanta.
How far is Wilkes County? Did you say how far?
Yes, sir.
From Atlanta, it is about 2 hours going I-20 east. I-20 is in the direction of Augusta. Wilkes County is considered the mother county of Georgia because about 7 other counties spring from Wilkes County. It is in Washington, Georgia. Washington, Georgia is steeped in history. A lot of the Confederate history. Is the first county that was named after George Washington in the nation. Jefferson Davis, in his effort to evade federal authorities, the federal army, he was caught in Wilkes County wearing women's clothes.
Is that right?
Yes, let's see. Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin in Wilkes County. So Wilkes County produced Robert Toombs. Robert Toombs was a state senator. He became during the Confederate, what they call the war between the states, we call the Civil War. And he was the Secretary of State during the Confederacy, and he refused to pledge allegiance to the United States or the new state, the new reunited country, and he fled the country for England. And so all of this is steeped in Wilkes County, in Washington, Wilkes County.
Yes.
There's
Wow.
$100,000 of Confederate gold supposedly missing and buried somewhere in Wilkes County. And so in the midst of all of this, I'm sorry.
How much gold?
$100,000 worth, which is yet to be found. Oh, folks have been
We're going on an excavation. Going on
It might be under the school. It might be under the school.
It might be. As Booker T. Washington famously said during his Atlanta exposition speech, lower your buckets where you are. It might be beneath the school. Lower your buckets where you are. Yes.
As you all can tell, Barrett is the historian and the genealogist.
I'm just a bootlegger.
Yeah, whatever. Barrett has written a book. What's the title of your book, Barrett?
High Priest in Tall Cotton. High Priest in Tall Cotton. The reasoning behind that title is because the name of my family was Cohen. As you know, Cohen means priest, is actually Jewish. And they were doing pretty well because they were landowners. Therefore, they were stepping in some mighty tall cotton. Thus the term High Priest in Tall Cotton. Okay, all right, fantastic. Before we go, I want you to address something that we talked about recently, and that is the business side of your nonprofit. You spent almost 4 years, 3.5 years, doing the paperwork to get the school on the Georgia registry of historical locations. Now, inshallah, in December, you say it'll be on the national registry of registry of historical places. Exactly. Now the funding, the money, you have a very unique perspective. Probably not unique, but you have a perspective of marketing that I love, especially in dealing with business. And do you mind sharing that with the listening audience about the marketing and the business side of this? For the past 3 years, we have been focused on historic preservation, which means that in order to get to where we are, we had to provide tons of documentation, citation, oral traditions, and pictures, and other documentation to support our claim. All of this had to be provided in order for us to even get an audience to the state board. The state board only meets twice a year. And so we were blessed in order to even get an audience before them. Once we were recommended for the national register, then the whole mentality had to change from historical preservation to historical preservation marketing. Because now, as opposed to just gathering historical information, you have to market the idea of this project. It has been determined to be worthy, but if you want to restore, if you want rehabilitation of the building, there has to be fundraising of private and public funds from institutions and individuals. So that is what sparked our need to create the 501c3, to have our bylaws, to have our mission statement, to have our purpose, to have our articles of incorporation, our EIN number. Now the whole focus has been changed from history to marketing. What is marketing? Everything that we do in order to eventually generate a sale. What is a sale? Fundraising. That's it. As I was telling Brother Jahi, my job basically is almost like being a college president. Fundraising, fundraising, fundraising. That's it. So the whole focus has changed now. So all of this fervor and this energy that I had in terms of history, in terms of genealogy, it has now been redirected. Sir. But that's a part of it. That's a part of the steps that you have to go to in order to get to where you want to be. Wonderful. You know, at the offset, Barrett, I talked about your speaking acumen, and one of the things that I see, and growing up in the church, I'm sure that's one of the foundations. I see that you're doing a lot of speaking in the historical preservation arenas, that sort of thing. So as we close out, give us information about that. How has that been working? And those that are listening, they want to invite you to their church, to their
gatherings or meetings to speak? How do they get a hold of you if you want to find out more information about the Friends of Cherry Grove Schoolhouse? How do they contact you?
We have a website address, which is www.cherrygroveschool.com. That's CHERRYGROVE school singular.com. Cherry Grove School. And I can be reached at 404-889-5533. That's 404-889-5533. And in terms of the speaking, here again, it ties into the marketing. So I'm using a lot of those Toastmaster skills that you and I hone in order to make my pitch. Because now here again, it's the marketing. It's the marketing, because there are many other projects which are competing just as viable and honorable and needed as mine. And so there's always some competition. So you have to sell your product. We don't have a product, you have to sell your service. What is our service? Historical preservation. And once we get done with the schoolhouse, there are other items that we have on the agenda. Now, how do we know about these items? These items were defined in our bylaws. So everything that we do, we are still within the parameters of the bylaws, but in general terms, it is historic preservation. I mentioned Cohentown. Well, the name Cohen. My ancestors lived in a place called Cohentown back in 1888. An ancestor received 62 acres of land. And that is what distinguished them from many in that particular area, in that they were landowners. And so we plan on erecting a historical marker for that also. We found a Cohentown cemetery, which monuments date back to the 1880s. We plan on having a monument there also. And so by the time we get through the whole story, it's not only going to be told, but preserved. We have an agenda. Beautiful. That's what we plan on seeing through. But yeah, the whole focus now is this, as I said, what we learned in Toastmasters, many of those basics is being used now in terms of marketing.
Absolutely. In addition to the networking, the relationship building with those that can help guide us to the next level. And I want to say, as I finish up, I'm sure Sister Sandy, Sister Sharien, and Sister Queen Taese may have questions as well. But I want to say this, and I have full faith that the mission that Barrett is on, he's going to fulfill it, because I know the man is like ice water under pressure. I mentioned to you all that he's the first person to represent the state of Georgia in the World Championship of Public Speaking in like 40 years, and the very first Black. And he also came in second in that competition. Now, mind you, competing against people from all over the planet Earth. He came in second. Now, picture this. The day before the competition, his second daughter, Jamila, was born. So he literally saw her come into this plane of existence, kissed her on the forehead, then jumped on a plane and flew all the way across America to Los Angeles,
California.
Palm Desert, and then drove to Palm Desert, right? Did we pick you up, or did you fly into Palm Desert?
We flew. It was 118 degrees.
It was 118 degrees outside, right. Flew to Palm Desert, ran up on the stage, and killed it. That was a guy from Australia, who
Auckland, New Zealand,
who did a Robin Williams, the comedian Robin. He did a Robin Williams bit. Yeah. He won, but this was so funny. It was so funny to us. Barrett, at the end, we standing in front of the stage. I'm standing by his side holding a trophy, while there was about 1,200 people literally standing in line to shake Barrett's hand. And then I'm looking over at the guy that won. There was a few people standing in his line. For everybody, the entire room was standing in line to greet Barrett. Then when we leaving, it was one of those huge hotels with the resort, Marriott Resort, I believe, with the hotel connected to the conference center. So we're walking back to the hotel, and the guy who won happened to be walking beside us. But as we're walking back to the hotel, all of these people that are coming toward us are congratulating Barrett. It's like they didn't even see the guy that actually won, because the speech. Do you remember the title of that speech?
A horse of a different color.
A horse of a different color.
A horse
yes,
of a different color.
That was it.
I had my boots on and my cowboy gloves in my back pocket. I was 2 seconds short of being disqualified.
That's right.
Short.
That's right. But he had practiced that speech so much, he knew. Yeah. They give you indicators about time, and he knew what he needed to cut out but still be effective. But I say that to say, under all of that pressure, still came through as a champion. So that's part of that ingenuity as well, and that resilience. So I just had to share that story. So Sister Sandy, Sister Sharien, Sister Samiyyah, y'all have questions as we close out? Queen Taese, any questions or comment for Deacon Barrett Hanson?
I have a few questions in terms of utilizing the information about the Cherry Grove School. There, with the website that you go to, is a lot of the history and everything listed on there?
Most definitely. It's called Our Story, and it gives the whole history of the schoolhouse and of the teachers who taught there, and the district, and the number of students that they had, and some of the teachers' name. The whole gamut.
Wow.
And
are you able to visit it now, or
yes.
Wait until you can?
Yes, it is at 1878 Danburg Road, 1878 Danburg Road in Wilkes County, Georgia. Okay. It is on the campus of the Cherry Grove Baptist Church.
Okay.
That land has been in church in the same congregation's hands since 1875.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. And so the plan is to have a dedication the first Sunday in August of 2020, inshallah, when everything will be dedicated, because by that time, that gives us sufficient time for the rehabilitation and to invite all of the Wilkes County historical community, the preservation community, the Atlanta community, those interested in Eastern education, those interested in education in general, those interested in history and genealogy, to invite everyone out. That is what is planned for August, the first Sunday in August, the first Saturday and Sunday in August 2020.
All right, I already got it on the calendar. I will put it on my new calendar. Well, I want to thank all of you all for the dynamic information that you shared. And I know everything that you're doing, because of the intentions that you have on doing it, will be a tremendous success. And all of you all know that I'm just a phone call away, whatever it is that I and we can do to assist in your endeavor. And Barrett, of course, we will be talking further, because I do have some ideas, fundraising ideas that I want to share with you, and count me in as a funder. You know, I think in one of my accounts, I got like $8 in it. You know, that's yours, brother. All of it belongs to you. So,
wow, you're so generous, my brother. You're so generous.
Look,
hey,
just count it by the quarters. Count it by the quarters. You have a larger number.
Well, I would even have.
Do it by pennies.
I was going to say I could do it by pennies. I have a bunch of money.
Pennies, right?
Yeah.
I got 32 quarters, brother. That's all yours. It all belongs to you. Queen Taese, get you some rest.
Statement, if I will, Brother Jahi.
Yeah, go ahead and close it out, Sister Sharien.
Mistakes shall not exist. So, Sister Samiyyah, Brother Jahi, help me out with this. I had mentioned earlier today in referring to us as a race. Do either of you aware of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad saying that we are not a race?
Yes, we are not a race. That's in our supreme wisdom. The black man is the original man. We have no beginning and no ending.
That's right. We're not a race.
As I stated earlier, that we were the only race of people that are pinned together. You know what I meant to say. And I stand corrected, because my mama texted me and she said, "Ask Sister Samiyyah." So I'm going through.
That's right, Sister Sahira.
Okay, is it in here? Is it in here? So I'm trying to find it. so I could correct myself with the actual facts, and I couldn't find it in time before the show ended. So I wanted to make sure that it was corrected. So we are not a race.
We are not a race.
But
no.
we are the only people, the original people, the indigenous people on this planet,
Right.
to be pinned together against each other in similar classes. It's meaning that, you know, the rapper who raps on the same genre, or the actress or actor who is in the same industry, they are put together as enemies, and then we're constantly debating in nowadays context on social media against each other, who's better, who's worse, who whatever. I mean, we are the original people. Okay. And so I was saying it in context of my sister who's wearing orange, and I'm wearing orange, and I wore orange in her honor because the picture that she sent was in orange, and I said I love the color orange, and I wanted to highlight my sister Queen Taese Queen, or Queen Taese. I wanted to highlight her and wear orange in honor of her. That was my point. So yes, we are not a race. Adam is the beginning of the races,
right?
As the Honorable Minister Lord's father, I was able to find that in the final call, because I was really searching, y'all. I was able to find that in the final call, in the article. Let me see if I can get to the title of the article. Why? No, that's not the one. Let's see this one.
While you're looking for that, may I say this?
Okay, no, I have it. The Adam and the Pre-Adamites. It's Adam and the Pre-Adamites by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, The Origin of Blackness, Part 2, where he mentions that. So if you want to get into it, I just wanted to make sure that mistake did not stay on the floor. Yes, ma'am.
Can I say this?
Go right ahead.
To answer your question.
Thank you.
We know that all of that we talked about, pitting each other against the other, was the Willie Lynch syndrome. And one of the things we need to start doing consciously is, as we exhibit certain behaviors, ask ourselves, is this what Willie Lynch wanted us to do? And if it is, we need to stop. So we put that.
I like that. I like that. Yes.
This is am I continuing the Willie Lynch syndrome because I'm feeling some kind of way about my sister or my brother? So we need to consciously keep that up front. Okay, we're going to erase that. So I'm not going to do that, because that's going to help perpetuate what he put in motion. I think that will help.
Sister Sandy,
who we doing? Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I am just loving this conversation. As we wrap up, there was one thought that I had as our brother Barrett was speaking, and I wanted to know, when you first started the process of not preserving, but not preserving, but rehabilitating.
Yes.
Schoolhouse. Did you know the steps that you had to take, or did they come about as you just went forward with the rehabilitation?
They came about as I went forward. There was a representative from the preservations community, a sister Melissa Jest, who is extremely insightful. She is the one who actually suggested, perhaps you don't want restoration, but you want rehabilitation. And the way she explained it made sense, because, as I said, we don't just want a museum. We want it to be a living, breathing, historical site that continues to teach. But there are so many things which will come along as you progress. You don't know, you can't see the whole thing. You can't see the whole thing. So certain things will come along on your journey, and certain people will come in your journey to help you on it. And so, no, I had, as I said, I had a bunch of fervor and energy and enthusiasm, and I did have a vision, but no, I didn't see everything. And I definitely did not anticipate that the journey would be this long, although it has been a labor of love. It has been a labor of love. I didn't anticipate the journey would be this long.
Yes,
Sister Sandy, may I borrow your question and extend that to Queen Taese and to Sister Samiyyah? as well.
Absolutely.
That's a very Barry, you remember the word, the profundity is in the simplicity.
In simplicity. I coined that. I should have trademarked it.
So
yes, the profundity is in the simplicity. Yes.
Yes.
So Sister Sandy, you mind extending that question to Sister Queen Taese and to Sister Samiyyah?
Absolutely. Sister Queen Taese, one of the questions that I had, and you can answer that in the context of the question as well, is I'd like to know how did the name Queen Taese arrive? And you can add that into, did you know when you started this journey that it would be something similar to this? Or did you just, all I need to know is just tell me, God, what I need to do first?
No, I couldn't have written it. You know, I had no idea. I think, you know, when we follow our passion is put there by God, you know, and when you follow that, that's your divine purpose, that's your divine assignment.
Exactly.
And you don't need to know everything and every step and how it's all going to happen and unfold. Just do your job and live in that and walk in that and embody it and exude it, you know, and allow it to spread to others, you know. And as far as my name, that was actually given to me by some brothers in the hood. Like, just, you know, just
so you've been truly anointed there.
As I, you know, learn more about self and begin to gain more knowledge of self, it didn't matter where I went. You know, I always show love to my people because, you know, we can't divide ourselves by what we think is and the clothing and the way we talk and the amount of money, you know. So I just always embrace my people wherever they were, wherever they are. And so, you know, as I began to come into a higher state of consciousness and knowledge and wisdom, that was a name they just used to say, here comes the queen, here comes the queen. And I started wrapping my hair and, you know, just understanding. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like that, you know.
I love it. Now that's beautiful where your environment helps you to know who it is.
Yeah.
It gives you something to aspire to. I says, well, what are the qualities of a queen? So I had to go within.
So you had to step into that role, right?
Yes. I'm like, okay, this gives me something to work towards in a level of character. To, you know, to hold myself to.
I love it. Okay, and Sister Samiyyah, oh my goodness. First of all, where did you get your name from? And then secondly, what was it? Did you know when you said, I am going to go for, now I know a little bit of history about how you are still in this position because somebody very high up was like, listen, okay, so how did you know? Did you know that you would be doing this right here, right now?
No. What happened? I was asked. Well, my name, I picked it in 1977. We were at that moment the WCIW and the WARP, he told us to get rid of our first names if they weren't given to us by our parents, and we kind of had some connection to. Well, my name that my parents gave me it meant Jacobite. I'm like, that's not a good name. Got rid of that one. Anyway, but when I looked at the definition of this name, it said noble and sublime. So I looked at the word sublime. It went more tried for. That's what Samiyyah meant. So now moving forward, we moved down here and it was decided that they're going to open the MUI again. And I was supposed to come in and collect the money. That's all I was supposed to do. Once or twice a week, come in and I'm going to make sure that the parents pay their money. Next thing I know, I end up being the director because brother kept his job, and you know, and like the minister said, he don't blame him. He kept the job as an assistant principal, and it all fell in my lap. Okay, so we have all this upheaval, and then the minister comes and he went to this long meeting and he can't tell this man no. So here I am, 14 years, well, 10 years later from that moment when he stood me up and told the believers, the sister, I asked her, would she try again? And she will. So we're still trying. And by God's grace, you know, we're still growing. And we're producing young gods who surprise me when they open their mouths, and their level of commitment to their faith. They've demonstrated a couple of times. One time, I'll give you a quick example. A sister had done something and was incorrect, and she was getting, her grandmother wanted her to be chastised for it, so she brought her to school and talked about it. So one of the little sisters raised her hand and she said, "Excuse me, what did you have on when you did this?" And she said, "I had, it's just like, I had my uniform." And she said, "You had your MUI uniform on and you did this kind of thing?" So they themselves have internalized what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it. And that's the blessing. That's why I'm still here. Because the reward is them doing those kind of things and growing in their faith and growing in knowledge and being able to think, is it
possible, that this is one of your purposes?
Yes, no, I didn't think I was going to be still doing it.
Did she get cut off?
No, she hurt.
I think so, because I really I got involved in it like at least 46 years ago, and I had a young man. Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh. Yes, now we do. You were going in and out.
What happened? Okay.
Can you hear us,
Sharien? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. You're just you're going in and out, but we hear you.
No. What happened was, okay, so a young man came over to me at my grandson's graduation, and actually went to Talib, and then Talib took him to me, and he said to me, "Oh my God," he said, "you still look exactly the same that you taught when I was 4 years old." I'm like, "What?" And he said, "I just want to thank you for helping me be the man that I am today." And I'm like, "What?" So this is 40 something years later, and this child still remembers being in my class. So I guess that means this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter how tired you get, you come right back to it.
Right, because that energy. And I want to say this real quick. Queen Taese coined a phrase called passionpreneur. So I think it exemplifies everybody on this line that we all are doing things that, in spite of the trials or through the trials, because we know we're taught through the teaching of the Honorable Jahi Muhammad that trials are necessary. Hard trials are necessary to establish truth. We have to struggle. Struggle is ordained. It brings out of us. It lets us know what we're made of.
Exactly.
But if it's that passion, then we endure in order to achieve the desired goal. So I saw that, Queen Taese, passionpreneur. I like that. I like that.
Now I know we are like way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I had to do this because we have our dear brother Barrett Hanson.
It was a great.
Did we even talk about that title or name, High Priest?
Yes, he did.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
okay, so we did that, but did we talk about this?
Whoa. Wow.
That is a great aunt of mine. That is Sally Farrell Cohen. She was born in 1843 and died in 1949. She was 106 years old.
Wow.
When she died, just imagine the span of time. When she died, we had entered the atomic age. The Cold War was about to get started in the next year, in 1950.
Wow.
In 1919, she lost 4 daughters in 1 month due to the Spanish flu. What's called the great flu pandemic. It was not an epidemic; it was a pandemic worldwide. It took 1/5 of the world population. More people died as a result of the Spanish flu than they did in the Great War, World War I, which had just ended. And so in 1 month, she buried 4 daughters, she raised her granddaughters. One of the granddaughters, by the name of Ruth Minchin, who resided in Savannah. She lived in her 90s, and she was one of my greatest teachers. And she was the inspiration behind me writing this book. The granddaughter of this lady here, who raised her. Wow. She piddled out in the yard until she was in her hundreds. She suffered from cataracts, and so to show you the ingenuity of our people, they tied ropes around the borders of the house so that she could hold onto the rope and still get around the yard and piddle in the yard.
Wow, beautiful.
It shows you that ingenuity.
Wow. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, having the horse. I mean, not the horse, the sightseeing dog, you know, that assists those who are vision impaired. And for her, it was the house. And
it was the house. It was the house. So when she go outside, exactly. Get a hand hold of that rope and just hold onto the rope. And so she had access to the parameters of the house. She could still get out and piddle, as they say, piddle in the yard. And
where can one get a copy of this book?
You can
we are for real.
You can contact me directly through my email address, highpriest at, I don't think I gave that to you, Brother Jahi. highpriest.tallcotton. I'm sorry, highpriest.tallcotton@gmail.com. That's highpriest.tallcotton@gmail.com. Or at the same telephone number that I gave earlier.
Say it again, because nobody remembers that.
Sure. Highpriest.
No. Your phone number.
Oh, telephone. I'm sorry. 404-889-5533. That's 404-889-5533.
All right. highpriest.tallcotton@gmail.com. Sister Queen, queentaese.com. Beautiful website. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you for having me.
Will be back with us next week, inshallah, highlighting education. And these are the books I was supposed to put up during my segment.
This is what you were speaking about.
Other technical things, but this is what I was saying. But why I wear my headpiece, and all of us, as you can see on the headpiece of different women from around the world, different regions. What it says is that we wear it for the same reason: dignity, protection, obedience, respect, and so on, although we may look different. So part of the difference is identity. It identifies us with the group. My headpiece says I'm with the Nation of Islam. That, you know, your head says you with the organization that you with and with the people that you represent. But all together, we all Black. You can see the Catholic, you can see the Eskimo, you can see the Native, so-called Native American. You can see the sister from Thailand or Hong Kong. You can see the Saudi Arabian. You can see the Christian sister at the top, who's my grandmother. So of course she's at the top of my dome, right? You know, so anyways, it just tells us that we are wearing it for the same reasons, but the style of it identifies you with that group. So may Allah be pleased with us. Until next week, we are talking about education, y'all, the Ministry of Education.
Sister Sharien, you have a special event next week, right? On next Monday.
Say that again.
For the business scientists, you have a special event next week. You have special guests.
I'll have to get back to you on that. We'll see how that goes. So right now, we'll just stand down. And that text came through like minutes before the show. So not sure if that event is going to take place. But what it was, I can say it was a charter school. But right now that is the charter school was to be opened or started or petitioned for, whatever. And right now that's on hold. So we'll see if we're going to move forward with the event, actual event. Okay. So may Allah be pleased with us, and we'll be back with you, inshallah, next week. Thank you for tuning in, and those who hung out for the long haul.
Yes, thank you, phenomenal guests.
Thank you.
And please come back. This is not the last time we'll see you.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Will do. Will do.
It's been great. It's been
All
great.
right,
Love you all. Peace and love.
Same here.
Mwah.
Okay. Mwah. Back.